You thought he was done? You thought the takes were too hot to handle? You better think again. He's back with even more scorching opinions, more controversial predictions, and the kind of truth bombs that only Zain Bando can deliver. If you missed the first round, prepare yourself. This is the follow-up you've been waiting for. It's time for Zain Zinger Part 2, another certified hit from the Empty the Bench Network. Here's your host, Zain Bando.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. It is Zain Zinger Part 2. My name is Zain Bando. Happy Sunday morning to you all. It is Sunday, January 18, 2026. Hope you all are doing well on this very cold morning here in Chicago or in the suburbs of Chicago or wherever you might be listening to this very live stream, because we are live on a bunch of different platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Kick, and Twitch, across a bunch of different channels. My personal YouTube channel, the ETV Network YouTube channel, the Bandos Breakdowns Twitter account, my Twitter account, the ETV Sports Twitter account, and so much more. So without further ado, let's get started. Based on when you are watching or listening to this Zain Zinger Part 2, you can catch today's episode right now, obviously, as I just alluded to, or the replay at any point. If you are watching this after the fact, you can also listen if you just close your YouTube app or whatever app your of choice and just listen to me if you don't want to see me on screen also. So another benefit there as well. Programming note: Bandos Breakdowns episode 74 will premiere this Friday, or this upcoming Friday rather, January 23rd, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. Stay tuned for a lot of fun stuff. With that show, we're going to have an exclusive interview with someone very close to the Music City Bowl, as I've been kind of teasing for the last couple weeks. We had to change some schedules around because I wasn't feeling well, but we're gonna actually do this thing this time. So stay tuned for that interview. It's going to be about a 20-minute or so sit down. Stay tuned for a couple other interviews later on in the month. Some interviews that I'm ready to talk about eventually, and some that I'm not ready to talk about as they're not confirmed yet. But we're going to be getting more interviews here moving forward as such. So stay tuned. Keep watching and listening to the shows, and you won't want to miss 74, because this interview that we're going to be doing next week is going to be a big one. Probably one of the bigger ones we've done in the history of this show, based on the prominence of who we're going to be speaking with. So excited to go through that, and excited to bring you guys another episode. But that is for next Friday. Let's get into Zain Zinger Part 2, starting off with NFL survivors. So we're in the second day of the divisional playoffs. As we know, we had a bunch of outcomes yesterday. So we had 2 teams advance to the NFC and AFC championship games, respectively. We're going to get 2 more in today to fill up those matchups, and they were as follows: the Broncos defeating the Bills in overtime, controversially or what have you, in stunning fashion. And then, of course, Seattle routing the San Francisco 49ers at home, which means for the Bears, they can no longer host the NFC championship game next Sunday. So Should the Bears knock off the Rams today, they would be going to Seattle to play the Seahawks. And of course, if the Rams win today, it would be an all NFC West showdown to go to the Super Bowl, which would be very, very exciting. So it's something to bear in mind there. Let's talk about divisional survivors. So straight up, we had the Bills to beat Denver, so we lost that, and then of course we had Seattle to beat San Francisco straight up, which they won. However, I thought San Francisco would cover. So for football forecast purposes, we're actually 0-2 because the Bills did not cover that 1.5 and the 49ers lost outright. So for forecast purposes, we're 0-2. For survivor purposes, though, we are 1-1, which would put us at 179 and 100 for the season. So something to bear in mind. They're excited to get into this a little bit more, though. Bears and the Rams, one final run through on this game. As we know, it's Caleb Williams' second ever playoff start, taking on Matt Stafford, who's obviously won a Super Bowl with the Rams and has a boatload of talent alongside him. It should be a great game. I'm excited for it. The cold weather, I think, is going to play a factor. That's why I really like the under as my lock of the week in this game. I just think it'll be very difficult to move the ball in sub-zero conditions. It doesn't seem like snow is really going to play a factor, but it is going to be really cold come tonight around 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern. So excited to see how the game plays out, but I do know this. It's going to be a hard-hitting, really old school type of game. The Bears and the Rams go back a while. They haven't played each other in the playoffs since 1986. That was the NFC Championship game, 85 season, 86 Super Bowl. Obviously, the Bears went on to win the Super Bowl that year at 15-1, defeating the Patriots. So obviously, could history repeat itself for the Bears play the Patriots in the Super Bowl? It's still realistically possible as New England, if they beat Houston today, could go to the AFC Championship game on the road against the Denver Broncos. So given that, I haven't given you my survivors just yet, but in case you guys did not listen to the episode this week, we like the Rams to beat the Bears today, and we like New England to beat Houston. So we like New England to go to Denver, playing the AFC Championship, and again, we like that all NFC West matchup between the Rams and the Seahawks, which I think the Rams get out of Seattle with a win if that were to be the game. So excited to see how these play out, but we're getting down to the final 4 teams here very soon. Very, very soon. By the end of today, we will have those. And it should be a thrilling conclusion to the NFL season. Very much looking forward to seeing how all of this plays out. But yeah, that's the run through. Again, 179 and 100 going into today. We were 178 and 99 going into the divisional playoffs. So hopefully we can finish the weekend above 500 from a straight up standpoint. We won't be able to do so for forecast, for forecast. But at the very least, we can finish no better than 500. Which honestly, given how difficult these playoffs have been, I will take. So there you go. All right, let's move on now to some college football. Talking about college game day, more specifically college game day and ACC Field Pass. So without further ado, here we go. Marcus Freeman is going to be joining ESPN's College Game Day. And in fact, let me fix this. I did not do this properly. Let's show a little bit more respect to College Game Day here. 1 second. There we go. That looks a lot better. All right, so Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman is going to be joining College Game Day on Monday night from Miami Gardens in person. And I think this is a big deal because I wonder how ESPN is going to be in regards to this Miami situation, because obviously there was a lot of controversy. Notre Dame was, one of the last 4 out, if you will, or one of the last teams that was denied a chance to go to the CFP, obviously. So I wonder how balanced they're going to be with questions around that, or if they're just going to focus on Indiana, Miami. That's going to be very interesting. I'm also interested to see what Marcus Freeman's demeanor is going into this. Obviously, Notre Dame didn't play in a bowl game. They opted to not play in one, which means they haven't played a game since late November. So I wonder how just the mindset of the overall program looks, and just how Freeman is going to handle that kind of water cooler talk or locker room talk, if you will, when he gets to the desk. I wonder how open he'll be about some of these things. I'm not really sure or what to think of it, but what I can tell you is I think Marcus Freeman is somewhat of a man of integrity. I think he's going to do what he feels is best for his program, and I think he's going to be very open and very honest. I was going to say that he was going to be selective, but now that I think about it, a live TV setting, ESPN should know what they're getting from Marcus Freeman, and if they do, then I think it should be a pretty smooth sailing interview, I would say. So I'm excited to see how it works. I'm excited to see, just kind of the way he carries himself and stuff like that. Um, I don't know though. What I can tell you is it's an interesting addition to the game day panel. I don't know if this is a one-off. I would assume it is. I wonder how Freeman will do in the TV setting. He usually does pretty well in like scrum interviews, so I don't see how he wouldn't do well in a desk setting. But that remains to be seen. So I'm not so sure on that. But what I can tell you is he's someone who genuinely cares about his team. He genuinely cares about his players, and I hope he understands that he's not just representing himself, but he's representing his program. And I think if he knows that, he will do just fine. So I'm interested to see how this plays out, and I'm also interested to see how Bill Belichick fares on ACC Field Pass. So they're doing the Miami coverage of this game. Obviously, Miami of the ACC. Of course, they're bringing in Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, a huge name. Of course, obviously, multiple time Super Bowl champion and the current coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels. Really, all I got to say is I'm ready for the popcorn, man. I'm curious to see what Bill Belichick says. I'm curious to see how he sells his program, if he sells it at all. I'm curious to see if he has a viral quote, very similar to Kurt Signetti, um, where he said at Big Ten Media Day 2 years ago, before he even started his first season, he's like, "Yeah, I'm just getting used to this place because we're gonna be back here in a few years." And he wasn't kidding. Obviously, Indiana won the Big Ten championship in December against Ohio State. So I wonder if Belichick will have a similar Signetti-esque type quote where he says, "Oh yeah, I'm getting used to Miami, or I'm getting used to this area because we're gonna be back down, in this area, next year because the ACC championship is usually in Atlanta or down in Atlanta typically." So I don't know. I just think Belichick. That's another interesting storyline too. He's obviously a polarizing coach. His team obviously did not fare very well in Belichick's first year. Of course, in Chapel Hill, he obviously took about a year off, and did some TV analytical work for Inside the NFL and stuff like that. And now he's back in coaching. So I'm curious to see how this plays out for him. I really am. I don't know. I I don't know what Belichick we're gonna get. I don't know if it's gonna be the one where he's in there and he's fiery and he's talking about all these things and he's talking about how excited he is, about his recruiting class and who he has coming back, or if it's gonna be the same Belichick where he's just going through the motions and he's excited to get out of there to watch ball, which I don't blame him. But if he knows, again, similarly to Marcus Freeman, if he knows that he's going on TV for a purpose, then he's got to act like it, because that's what a lot of people are tuning in to see. I mean, this is no disrespect. I don't know any of the ACC Field Pass people. So the only reason why I would tune into this feed is to see what Belichick says. So that's really all I have to say about that. And then it's not on a banner, but the Big Ten Network has all exclusive coverage pre and post game from Miami. They won't do a game feed where there's announcers like the ACC network and stuff like that. But they will do a live pre and post show. That'll be very interesting as well. They usually do a good job with that. They usually pull out all the stops. All their main football hosts and stuff usually are down there, and they usually do a great job. So excited to see how that coverage plays out. It should be a great game, though. As I said on Bando's breakdowns and Forever Power 5 and ETB Sports and any other show I do. I can't keep up with most of the shows I do on here, but out of all the shows I've done, I've pretty much stayed with the same consensus that I think Indiana is gonna win this game. I think it'll win the national championship, and I think Fernando Mendoza wholeheartedly now with the whole Dante Moore situation under wraps with him going back to Oregon to start over Dylan Raiola. Um, they'll win the national championship in my opinion. But it should be a great game though. I'm excited for it. All right, and speaking of the national championship, final run through, you guys know the drill. Most expensive national championship on record. Miami has an outstanding defense. Fernando Mendoza has weapons everywhere. It's going to come down to um, um, can Miami get after Indiana early and frustrate the Hoosiers, which is something no team has really done all year, maybe minus Penn State. And that's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see how the game just plays out overall. I don't really know what to expect from a Miami standpoint, but Miami better be ready to go because if it isn't ready to go, it's gonna be a long game, and Carson Beck is going to have to play his ass off to give his team a chance because if he doesn't, again, it could be 35-7 in the second quarter, just like the Oregon game was a week or so ago, and Miami won't know would hit it. So I don't know. All I know is that Indiana's just going to play their game. They're going to do what they do best, which is, demoralize you ground and pound and with throws through the air. And defensively, they're going to stack the box and they're going to get after Beck. And if they can do those two things, they'll be just fine. My final point total is 54 points for the game. That's my total tiebreaker, but I do have Indiana winning the national title. And yes, speaking of ETB Sports, we will be recording it on Tuesday. That way we can recap the national championship game from the night before. So for 1 week only, at least for now, we're going to go to Tuesdays, and it's going to be fun. So excited to see how everything plays out. But I like Indiana to win this thing. All right, let's talk about this final topic. We'll go through it for about 15 or so minutes here because we have the time to do it. Is the UFC off to a bad start in 2026? And I know what you may be thinking. Zan, the first event of the year is next Saturday. What are you talking about? So there's been a lot of speculation that Dana White is no longer interested in his product. And I went on a rant the other day. It's going to come out on Tuesday. And as a clip, in case you guys have not been paying attention to my clip schedule, we're getting back to the clip grind here. We got everything all squared away yesterday. So that Helwani clip, it's the last clip you'll see from this episode. I kind of rip him a little bit, and I say that his 18-minute monologue didn't need to exist. Okay, so here are a few things to keep in mind, and this is what I think makes the narrative around is it off to a bad start. You can kind of debunk it in a few different ways. Okay, so Ilya Taporia is having marital issues, right? So the interim title is being instituted between Gaethje and Pimblett. Okay, he's stated publicly, meaning Taporia, that he would fight the winner of Gaethje Pimblett next Saturday. So that narrative is out the window because the division is going to keep moving. The co-main event getting canceled. Kayla Harrison with a neck injury. Unfortunate situation. I don't know what the future of the division holds because you don't know how severe the neck injury is to where can you really say, oh, we can just rebook Harrison Nunes in the summer and it's fine. We have no way of knowing that. So, could the UFC get into a situation where they have to institute either an interim championship or have Harrison vacate her title, which would be very disappointing given how hard Harrison has worked to get to the top of the division and the top of the sport period after being in another organization. So that would be tragic if that was the scenario they were in, which it could very well look like they're going down that path of least resistance, which would be either stripping her of the belt or just making an interim title and waiting for until she comes back. Then you have to look at the heavyweight situation. We don't know what's going on with Tom Aspinall. We have no idea if he's returning. We have no idea if the interim title is being defended. We have no idea. There's obviously me and Jack Gold spoke about it on the newest episode of the MMA Outsiders. There's a rumor going around that UFC 327 is going to be Alex Pereira's UFC heavyweight debut against Cyril Gane, even though nothing has been confirmed, which would in all likelihood mean that Aspinall is so injured that they have no idea whether he's going to come back, which means the Gane Aspinall rematch has like a less than 10% chance of even remotely happening. If that's the direction they're going in, because if they go in that direction, that signals that he is so injured that they can't do anything to get him healed fast enough to keep the division moving. So then that leads to the light heavyweight division where, okay, Carlos Ulberg is clearly next in the line for a title shot. What do you do? Right? So there's that. So that would mean that he's more than likely would be fighting Jan Blachowicz. If we're going off this narrative, considering Blachowicz just won and he's clearly the number 2 guy in the world. It's not even a remote question. And Ankalaev, he just lost. So Ankalaev needs one more win to stay in that mix. Blachowicz has done enough, right? So there's a lot of questions there. Then we don't know what's going on with Khamzat Chimaev. He's been out since August. We have no clue what the delay is. He's probably not going to fight until after Ramzan, I would assume, right? So if he doesn't fight till after Ramzan, that puts you in the summer, right? So what does he do? Does he defend the middleweight title? There's a lot of, interesting fights at middleweight right now. Obviously, the big one being Fluffy Hernandez against Sean Strickland, right? If Strickland wins, is he back in the mix? If Fluffy Hernandez wins, is he undeniably next in the line for a title shot? It's all very interesting. And of course, there's rumors that Dricus du Plessis is potentially fighting Brendan Allen. And there's another rumor that Ranier de Ritter is fighting Kyle Bahia. So it's almost like this mini tournament that's going on at middleweight to determine who the true number 1 contender is now that Chimaev is the champion. Or if the rumor is potentially true that Chimaev could be moving up to light heavyweight, which, again, not surprising. But then what do you do? Who do you give the interim middleweight title fight to out of the fights I just said? I have no idea. So there's that. Then you look at the welterweight division, and it's like, okay, Islam Makhachev just won the belt, right? What do you do with him? Well, the biggest fight you can do name recognition-wise is Kamaru Usman, but does Kamaru Usman really deserve it? I don't think so. He has one solid win in 3 years, and that was against Joaquin Buckley. And this is no disrespect to Buckley, but even Buckley admitted he didn't fight his best in that fight. So if he didn't fight 100% Joaquin Buckley, what makes the UFC think that this Makhachev fight is going to be any more competitive than when Kamaru Usman was on his losing streak? I have no idea. It's all very fascinating stuff. So point in saying it is there's a lot of unanswered questions in a lot of divisions. I don't know if that means it's off to a bad start, but it's off to an uncertain start where a lot of people don't know what is really going on. The only division where we really have clarity is the featherweight division, where we know that Alexander Volkanovski is defending his title against Diego Lopez. And whether you think that Lopez should be getting a rematch or not, the fact of the matter is Volk is still actively defending the title. He's not asking to go up or down or whatever. He's saying, I want to defend my title for as long as I can until I retire. So he's just taking the fights that are given to him. Now, do I think Lopez should have gotten a rematch off of the performance he had? No way, but think about it from the UFC standpoint. He just did a viral finish against John Silva, okay? If you look at all the other guys in that division, Do they have viral finishing ability? Not really, especially Mobstar of Loyev. All he does is just take guys down and and go to a decision against them. I get it; he's undefeated, but the UFC now, I think, is realizing, okay, we're in a new TV deal. We need to make the most exciting fights that we can possibly make, and they think that Lopez is going to give Volk another great fight. Um, Almost a year later. So I'm excited for this rematch in about 13 or so days to see how Volk really looks. I'm really interested. And then obviously, um, to kind of piggyback off that, you look at the March card. You got Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway. That's an old school of a fight as you could possibly get. I mean, and those are guys that have been around for years. That's a legacy fight if I've ever seen one. And to do it for the BMF title, it's pretty awesome. And Holloway's a beast. So obviously he wants fun fights moving forward, and that's, I think, a solid main event. I think it'll get a lot of people out for that because that's a good casual fan type fight as well. So again, as I alluded to, um, a lot of uncertainty with the UFC right now. I wouldn't say it's off to a bad start, but there's a lot of question marks in a lot of divisions. Don't really know what's happening with most of them in regards to who's fighting who and who's defending what and stuff. In the next several weeks, we'll know. But I'm excited to preview UFC 324 in the coming days. Excited to also preview the first Zuffa boxing event, which is from the Apex. Callum Walsh is headlining that card. So I'm excited to see how the Zuffa boxing promotion takes shape. I'm really looking forward to it. It should be a fun card. I think there's between 7 and 9 fights. I can't fully remember. But again, looking forward to all this stuff, though. And yeah, I think that's a good place to end it. So let's run through the final few reminders. This has been Zain Zinger, part 2. Shout out to the 30 people who are watching and hearing again. A quick reminder, Bando's Breakdowns, episode 74 with myself, Zain Bando, airs this Friday, 3 Eastern, noon Pacific. You won't want to miss it wherever you get your podcasts. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, so much more. You know the drill. It's everywhere at this point. So if you want it, add me to your RSS feed. That way you don't miss a single episode. And make sure to hit the notification bell on YouTube so you don't miss a single show that I do, or a single live stream that I do, or a single show that anybody else does here at the network. But if you just want me, you can get me every, let's see, you can get me every Wednesday. You can get me every, well, not this Saturday, but you can get me every Wednesday with ETB Sports, every Friday with Bando's Breakdowns, every Friday with Football Forecast, every Thursday with the MMA Outsiders, every Sunday pretty much with this. And then, of course, on Instagram and X and TikTok only, you can get Bando's Blitz, which, by the way, we have a new segment coming out that drops tomorrow. It's called Bando's Bonus. So whenever I have a scheduling conflict or anything and news still needs to be produced, Bando's Bonus goes out Monday mornings. That will be at 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern. So Monday mornings here and Monday afternoons on the East Coast. And, of course, Monday mornings on the West Coast. So that's my content schedule pretty much every single week. So you'll be seeing a lot of stuff from me about all different kinds of sports. But this coming week, it'll be heavy on recapping the national championship game, however it plays out, recapping how the Bears did today, whether they're still in the playoffs or out, which I think they'll be out, but we shall see. And of course, we will be previewing UFC 324, and then of course doing a recap shortly thereafter in the coming days, and a preview of UFC 325. So that being said, we have about a minute to go. So in the final minute, just wanted to give you guys a few other reminders as well before we get out of here. Of course, this is an extension of Bando's Breakdowns. So, of course, you can follow Bando's Breakdowns across social media at Bando's Breakdowns. As I alluded to just a minute ago, listen to Bando's Breakdowns wherever you get your podcast. And, of course, my name is Zain Bando. I'm a sports journalist and ETV Network co-host. Check out my work over at MMA Knockout on Sports Illustrated, Dallas Wings on Sports Illustrated, Ohio State on Sports Illustrated, sometimes to the Cleveland Browns on Sports Illustrated, Sporting News, Field Level Media, and so much more. So, with that said, This has been Zain Zinger Part 2. My name is Zain Bando. For everybody here at the ETB Network, enjoy all the football today and enjoy all the other sports that you guys pay attention to. Stand by for Guru and Gurus in about the next 30 minutes, and I will see you guys soon. Have a good one.